Hello, sports fans. Coming to you from Altman Studios in downtown Brentwood to your ears wherever you are. This is Clocked In with the Press, and I am your host, Jake Menez. We're here with another sports episode, but we're going to do things a little bit differently today. Instead of me just reading the stories out, I've got with me my editor, Kyle Szymanski, our local sports aficionado, and the nasally voice you're going to hear isn't Fran Drescher, it's Caitlin Gleason, our social media manager, and we're all going to talk about some sports. Kyle, what you got for us?
Well, let's start with the Heritage Boys Volleyball, should we?
Let's go for it.
I mean, it's early in the season, but it's going to be a young team this year. But one thing's for sure about the Heritage Volleyball program is they're always competitive. They went 4-1 last year, second in the league to Deer Valley. But this year, they only have 4 returning players from last year's squad. That's Jake Palmer, Zane LeBute, and Lyndon Soria. Those are the seniors. Those will really be the anchors. And the fourth player, sophomore Luke Simoni, he played on the varsity team as a freshman last season, but is playing a new position this year.
Caitlin, you are a resident volleyball expert.
As in I'm the only one that's played volleyball?
Correct. My own experience is that scene from Top Gun.
Wow, okay.
So first off, explain volleyball to me as if I know nothing about it. How many players on a team?
Okay, so first of all, volleyball is like really aggressive. Don't let the balloon touch the floor. All right. There's 6 players usually. Some people put only 5 and then they leave the 6th player out to rotate in. You have 2 wing spikers and a middle blocker in the front, and then you have a person who's called a libero. This is normally a person who's not allowed to go to a certain part of the court usually. And they're usually only defense. And then you have 2 people in the back, right and left corner. And I don't remember what those positions are because I played when I was 11.
But so on a team sport, it's a 6-man team, 6-person team.
Pretty much, yeah.
And 4 of them are returning players. And so that's still a pretty fair number, I think. That's 4, 6,
well,
2/3.
One of them is a new position, though. So I'm not quite sure how good that position or how easy that will be.
Well, one thing's for sure, regardless of whether or not the team's experienced, they do have a very quality, good head coach in Janet Hannigan. She was the North Coast Section Girls Volleyball Honor Coach of the Year for 2021, and more recently was the California Girls Volleyball Coach of the Year. And let's also look back a little bit because this team has been back-to-back BVAL champions from 2018 and 2019. And in 2019, they were the NCS Division I semifinalists.
So they're kind of like the powerhouse school to beat a little bit.
Absolutely, but one thing's for sure with BVAL volleyball, anything can happen. Year to year, things change.
Kyle, how about we move on to the next story?
You want to talk a little lacrosse?
I would love to talk a little lacrosse.
Let's talk about the Delta Breeze. There's a new organization in town. Has anybody heard of it?
Yes, actually, I have.
Yeah, Johnny and Lori Boone started it in 2019. It's for boys and girls ages 8 to 14. Now I'm going to test your sports knowledge, guys.
All right, let's do this.
What is lacrosse?
A sport.
All right, I'm definitely going to win this one. So lacrosse is basically a field sport, and you use, they're like really long poles, and then there's nets on the bottom, and you're trying to throw it to each other a little bit like field hockey, but, it's not field hockey. I don't know how the scoring system works. I don't know any of the rules, but I know what it looks like at least.
You scoop it, you toss it.
That's pretty close, Jake. I mean... In a sense, that's what it is. But you know what's good about lacrosse is that it really incorporates many different kinds of sports. According to Johnny Boone, who is the East County expert on lacrosse, he is also the co-founder of the Delta Breeze. It incorporates hockey, track, volleyball, soccer, and basketball, featuring lots of running, throwing, and catching.
3 things I'm terrible at.
So is Delta Breeze like recruiting right now, or?
They're always recruiting. They started their season last, I think, 2 weekends ago, and with excellent goaltending and defensive plays, the Delta Breeze across 10U, 12U, and 14U boys teams wrapped up 6 weekend games last weekend with 3 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie.
So Delta Breeze is intramural, but the teams are not. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
Didn't the Delta Breeze, because I know we had a story about them a little bit ago, didn't they recently win some type of award or regional competition or something?
Well, the kids are always winning. That's the good thing about rec sports is there's lots of games, and with lots of games comes lots of wins. Lots of losses too, but lots of wins.
But mostly wins.
Absolutely.
All dubs in this house.
Let's talk a little soccer, should we?
Yeah.
Or football for some of our other listeners.
Yeah, well, Bay Valley Athletic League announced their all-star teams this week, and senior Michaela Yancey from Heritage was named the MVP.
Hey now, Michaela, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play.
Do you know who else were all-stars?
Smash Mouth.
Well, yeah. But let's talk back to sports for just a second. Madison Del Prado from Heritage, Jane Sanders from Heritage, Sabrina Rogers from Heritage, Kaylee Lewandowski from Heritage, Peyton Hoover from Liberty, Riley Stiglich from Liberty, Brooklyn Pierce from Freedom, Paulina Gutierrez from Freedom, Angelina Bond from Pittsburgh, Isabella Evans-Moran from Pittsburgh, Alexa Dubon from Deer Valley.
That is a lot of all-stars. That's like an all-star constellation.
You know, I noticed that Heritage has a lot of athletes that are being mentioned in this episode. Kyle, would you say that Heritage is definitely like one of, like the stronger players this year?
Well, they're always in the mix to win championships. I think they have a very good girls basketball program. Their track program is good. Their football program is on the rise. Their wrestling team also on the rise. So, yeah.
Yeah, so they're highly competitive.
Absolutely. But, we can never leave out quality Liberty programs and Freedom programs. All of them are very strong in the BVAL.
Absolutely. I mean, Freedom did just have that alumni in the Super Bowl. So, if anything, it shows that East Contra Costa just has really, really good sports competition.
That's Joe Mixon for those of you listening at home. But what's funny is I think his coach, which should have been Coach Hartwig, was the coach at Freedom and is now at Heritage. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
But back to the soccer, though. So when it comes to the All-Stars, does that mean they're all going to be playing like a longer season than those who aren't on the All-Stars? Or how does that going to play out?
What is the significance of them being all-stars?
Well, the season just wrapped up a few weekends ago, and they stand out among their peers in the BVAL.
So it's not. There's not a longer all-star season. It's just a point of recognition more than anything else.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Got it. So it's just like the season MVPs.
Yeah. There was also a second all-star team and an honorable mention team and a sportsmanship team. Let's talk about something for the littler kids. T-ball.
I love
Biddy
T-ball.
T-ball.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
I played T-ball.
Biddy T-ball is looking for some players, ages 3 to 7. Jake, did you ever play T-ball when you were a kid?
I played one season, and I spent too much time picking dandelions in the outfield. I was not invited back for the next season.
Oh.
I've got a trophy, though.
Maybe you could join Biddy Sports. Jake, you got to start somewhere.
They're probably roughly my height.
Well, they are looking for coaches, too, this season. And for the players, they'll learn the fundamentals of the sport and develop social skills in a fun, safe, and family-oriented environment.
How many teams are there locally?
Well, there's just one Biddy Sports organization, and I'm unclear on how many teams are going to field. It's probably going to depend on how many people sign up. But it's going to be a handful, and it's going to be run 6 Saturday mornings from April 9th to May 14th. Each class is an hour and includes a group warm-up, a practice with a team, and a game.
So if I were a parent of a child that wanted to play it, or wanted my child to play it, rather, how would I find more information? I would just look for Biddy Sports?
I think the best way to do it is call the Oakley Recreation Department at 925-625-7041.
That number again, 925-625-7041. I was listening.
Wow.
Good for you, Jay. You're listening and paying more attention now than you did when you played T-ball.
Hey, there's no dandelions in the studio.
No, but I remember when I watched my nephew play T-ball a few years ago, and it was just so adorable. Like, one kid could not hold... Adorable, kind of dangerous, though. This one kid couldn't hold on to the bat to save his life. So every time he swung, you just kind of saw the bat going left field. Everyone was like, heads, and got used to it very quickly.
Was this a plastic bat? A metal bat? What kind of bats do they use in T-ball?
I think they're aluminum, no? I might be wrong about that.
It'd be aluminum or wooden, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was, don't get me wrong, the kid was like, yay high being like, 3 feet tall at max. So it's not like the bat went very far, but it was very, very fun to watch because I was doing photography for the team.
You know what a safer option is?
What?
Wiffle ball.
Probably, actually.
You can get hit in the head with a wiffle ball bat and still live to see another day.
Are wiffle ball bats plastic?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about a little more spring sports. We got track and field coming up. We got tennis. We got golf.
So are all of those starting in end March, early April, or are they already started up?
They're all starting right now.
Right this second, as we speak.
At this very moment that you listen. But, talking about track and field, though, that makes me think about the 5K that is happening in April it was like a memorial 5K to honor Matthias Rogers, the one that's being hosted by the Liberty, not the Liberty track field, the Limitless track team. It's cross country. I think it's happening in the middle of April. But yeah, no, it makes me think about that one because they're all like, it's getting really excited. I signed up for it. I don't run, but I signed up for it.
For context, why don't you talk a little bit more about Matthias Rogers?
Yeah, so Matthias was a member of the Limitless cross and country team. I ended up actually covering his story, and in June last year, in 2021, he unfortunately passed away in a car accident. And the whole community just kind of gathered together because he was such a large member of it. And yeah, so he unfortunately passed away, and so it's been almost a year now. And so they're going to be having this 5K in honor of him because he loved running so much.
I know you spoke this off the cuff, so I apologize if you don't have the information, but what will the proceeds benefit?
All the proceeds are going to the track team that he was part of to kind of fund their trips and their meets and things like that. So if you haven't signed up and you want to try a 5K, might as well.
I did the turkey trot last November. I walked it because I'm not in 5K shape, but
neither am I. We'll see how I do with all these high schoolers passing me really quickly.
Kyle, have you ever done a 5K?
Oh, heck no. Just from the couch to the fridge. You call that a 5K. I'm not an athletic person.
5 steps at least.
Exactly.
So as far as spring sports, though, getting a little bit back more on topic, so are there any schools you think are favorites for any of these sports?
Well, from what I understand, the Heritage baseball team is a little young this year, but they've really been impressive this season. And like I said, Liberty and Freedom are also always right behind them on the baseball field. On softball, there's no question that Heritage is probably going to be the team to beat this year. They went undefeated last year. Now, of course, that was a different season because of the pandemic. So they played all BVAL teams, but that's impressive nonetheless to say that they went completely the entire season, no losses, and they didn't get to play in the playoffs, which is another unfortunate thing. But this season, they're going to be tested because not only will they have stiff BVAL competition, but they will play the North Coast section, which is the greater Northern California, and for the first time ever, a state tournament. So they'll be facing teams from potentially Southern California.
So why no playoffs last year? Was it because of the pandemic?
Absolutely, yeah. It was a wild season for sports and for the world, really. But they decided at the last minute to just play local teams, and turned out that Heritage was the best.
So when it comes to the North Coast section, how many teams usually play in that one?
There's usually 16 teams, but only, a handful of them really stand out. They try to do competitive equity, but it doesn't always work out.
What is competitive equity?
It means to try to pair the teams so the games are competitive.
Okay, so you're saying, so essentially they pair a team with a team of similar skill level.
In a sense, Jake, yes, that's correct.
What other stories do you have for us? Anything?
Well, it looks like that's it for this week, but there'll be more next week for sure.
Sports is always happening. Sports are always happening. Excuse me. I went to a little bit of college. Anybody have any more comments they'd like to share before we kind of bring this home?
I mean, I think it's just, these high schoolers and these kids have just gone through the pandemic really doing their best to keep with their sports. So I'm really excited to see, since, all the restrictions are being lifted and they're able to get back to doing things the way that they normally are. I'm excited to see how these kids play and just kind of thrive in this less restricted environment when it comes to how they play sports.
Let's just all be happy that sports are back with the pandemic. Things are hopefully rolling forward normally. Normally is always good.
Normally is better than the alternative. But so with that in mind, then, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. For those of you listening at home, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank Caitlin and Kyle for joining me today to talk a little bit in a more roundtable fashion. So thank both of you. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you want to keep up with Clocked In with the Press, go ahead and follow us on Facebook at thepress.net. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at PressClockedIn. And you can always send questions, comments, compliments, anything else like that to me by email, jake@brentwoodpress.com. That is jake@brentwoodpress.com. I love responding to emails. It's half my job. Until next week, everybody, we'll see you next time.